Well, good morning. It is a great honor to be here with you, and a moment, I think, of great excitement to think about the opportunities ahead of us. I'm honored to follow His Excellency Dr. Bandar, as well as Dr. Khan, and of course, President Zhao, in offering to you the vision for the global roadmap for healthy longevity. A vision 2050 of the world we could create if we recognize the opportunities that can build on the longevity that we actually have created as well. I'd like to build off of what Dr. Zhao just presented to think as an exemplar of the rapid demographic changes that Saudi Arabia itself has accomplished. Here are, just as the population pyramid that Dr. Zhao presented for the world, you can see similarly for Saudi Arabia, the age distribution of the population in 2000 with men on the left and women on the right. And you can see that it is a dominantly, in 2000, 23 years ago, dominantly young population. Just quickly, to show what's happening. Because of investments in human capital, people are, of course, living longer and very rapidly by 2023 and by 2050. You can see what Dr. Zhao described as what's called the rectangularization of the society with increasingly equal numbers and proportions of people in each age group. How do we harness this rapid, dramatic change so that it offers opportunity for individuals and for societies to live not just the longer life we've created, but a longer life with health? Here too, you can see data for Saudi Arabia, and as Dr. Zhao showed for the world. And you can see that the size of the population 0 to 14 years of age is diminishing, while the numbers at ages 25 to 64 of people living longer has increased quite dramatically to the present. And you will shortly see, assuming all projections are correct, a rapid rise of the numbers who are 65 and older because of longer lives. How do we prepare for this immensely fast demographic transition? How do we do it to create the greatest opportunity for people of all ages and for thriving societies around the world? Of course, as Dr. Zhao said, we have challenges ahead. There are many assumptions that long-lived populations, which we have created as a result of societal investment, are in fact a problem. But the evidence shows that this is not an inherent problem unless we perceive it as such. The barriers that prevent people from reaching their later years with good health can be confronted. The opportunities for creating health across longer lives, we now have evidence is strong. But the key is going to be to recognize the scientific evidence of what's possible and design societies across the world to enable the opportunities as well as meet the needs of longer lives. The Global Commission for Healthy Longevity offers a definition from the report of what we're speaking of. The state in which years in good health approach the biological lifespan, the longer lives we've created, with physical, cognitive, and social functioning, enabling well-being for all ages and for the population as a whole. The key is how we invest in and preserve health for all into the oldest stages, and as Dr. Zhao said, across the entire life course. We now see evidence that that is possible. Now, the first question perhaps that to be tackled in general and that the Commission tackled is there a value to creating healthy longer lives? In fact, the scientific evidence offers a much wider lens than what is in the usual discourse. For individuals, the opportunity to have both longer lives and longer lives with health seems intrinsically, obviously valuable. For families, the privilege of multiple generations and intergenerational supports is certainly well recognized for this region as well as around the world. Less well recognized is what the science now says about the optimistic assets and capabilities that we accrue across our longer lives. As we get older, we have the benefit of adding together the cumulative skills, expertise, knowledge about relationships, connections, and they create an aggregate set of capabilities that young people have not yet acquired. In addition, there is compelling scientific evidence that as we get older, building on those assets and capabilities, people acquire higher order cognitive skills, including complex problem-solving capabilities, and the ability to see the big picture of what world we want to leave to those behind us. This goal of how we actually secure a better future for future generations is certainly one that is intrinsic to the development of all of us as we get older, and a key asset for society of an increasing older population with those goals of leaving the future better. These capabilities, guided by the pro-social goals of people as they age, add up to perhaps what we call the attributes of wisdom, with a scientific basis including evidence as we get older of better emotional regulation, acceptance of uncertainty and yet decisiveness, pro-social behavior, and the ability to recognize desires to contribute to society and family and community with ever-increasing and higher goals. These are attributes of the potential social capital of an aging society, which can be an enabler of a future that is optimistic for healthy longevity. The Global Commission for Healthy Longevity came to a conclusion during our 3 years of deliberations that for us to envision the future that the science says is possible, we needed to create what is called a future-back vision, not just to key into how to incrementally tweak where each nation and region is, but to envision the future we could be, because none of us live in societies designed for the longer lives we've built. And so if we look at what the evidence says could be possible by 2050, if we invest in the opportunities during the rapid transition that all countries are going through, we will see, for individuals, long lives with health and function into the oldest ages, and the ability to enact one's goals even into those longer lives. We will see the ability to confer through societal planning those long lives with dignity, but at the same time to enable new roles for older people, replete with health and function and pro-social goals, to contribute to a stronger society, to stay engaged, as Dr. Zhao said, in work and contributing in ways we never envisioned before for an older population aging with health. If we do this, then issues around the world of an epidemic of loneliness could be countered by the creation of the conditions for increased engagement as people age. At the same time, the capabilities of older adults and their contributions to ensuring future generations thrive could lead to the increased optimism for young people around the world about what it will mean to live longer lives. For societies, if we add up those opportunities for individuals into who we all are together, then a long health span with decreased health disparities, increased health and function, could well become assets for nations. If enabling and valuing the intrinsic assets and capabilities that we accrue across our longer lives could unleash a kind of social capital with capabilities we've never seen before at scale. The evidence is very clear that our perhaps myth-based assumptions, for example, that if older adults stay engaged, if they work longer, that in fact deprives young people of jobs, is not supported by the economic evidence. In fact, the economic evidence would call that, at this point, a fallacy, the lump of labor fallacy, because the evidence suggests that if older people stay working and engaged longer than is historically the case, that in fact there are more jobs and economic opportunities for young people. This can enable an enlarged workforce, not a shrinking workforce, as we see less younger people. And it's very clear that when older people are thriving, there's the potential for all people of all ages and economies to thrive with increased equity and intergenerational cohesion. So healthy longevity is the result, and will be the result, of the interactions of transformations in the foundational systems of societies. The conclusion of the Global Commission is that transforming any one system is necessary but not sufficient for the kind of transformation of the complex systems that our nations and our regions are. And that each system needs to be activated, transformed, and then coordinated across systems to transform to societies for the longer lives we never had before. As Dr. Zhao said, the report lays out the transformations at a global level that need to be considered both for health systems, for the physical environment, our social infrastructure, and the world of work and volunteering. And that if we in fact invest in the transformations needed, we will see the opportunity for increased health into the oldest ages, and the opportunity for productive contributions by people living longer lives with health to society, which will lead to an escalation of human, social, and financial capital in that nation. This has to be built, of course, on a reconsidered social compact between generations and across society, built on a vision of equity for all ages, as well as cohesion. The disruptors that we are confronted with globally, which vary in terms of their seriousness or their dimensions from nation to nation and region to region, include ageism, include the rise of what we call non-communicable diseases at earlier and earlier ages, poverty and the social determinants of health, the effects of the environment, such as pollution, which we now know causes decreased cognitive development in young people and increases the risk of dementia in the old, and issues of inequity. As we look at the potential to create health across longer lives and healthy longevity with its dimensions of a high return on investment in terms of increased opportunity to continue to work or to contribute through volunteering, it needs to be underpinned by a whole new vision of lifelong education so that we have the opportunity across longer lives to continue to learn and to grow. To consider how our physical environment needs to be redesigned for people of multiple generations and longer lives. To think about our social infrastructure and how we can design to enable the pro-social goals of older people, and to and to secure financial security as we age in retirement. And finally, how we redesign our health systems, as Dr. Zhao said, so we invest in preventing disease across the life course. We invest in promoting the health of people into the oldest ages, and do that adequately to diminish the need for healthcare for people who are sick. We will be considering each of these dimensions across today's conference, and with, I think, exciting discussions about how to apply these goals in the context of the Gulf region. So the Global Roadmap for Healthy Longevity offers 8 goals for 2050. Economic and social benefits generated by people living, working, volunteering, and engaging longer because they are healthy. The social infrastructure, institutions, and business systems that enable safe and meaningful work and other community engagement at every stage of life. Education and training opportunities that promote participation in lifelong learning and growth. Social cohesion within and across generations, augmented by redesign of our systems and societies to assure that generations know each other, that they have the opportunity for exchange and shared value in a social compact fit for longer lives. And of course, the social protections and financial security that mitigate the effects of financial vulnerability at older ages. The physical environments and infrastructure that support functioning, engagement, and connection at every age. And integrated health systems across public health, providing the conditions at a population and community level that enable the opportunity for health, complemented by person-centered medical care. And finally, quality long-term care systems to ensure that people receive the care they require in the setting they value. This necessitates not just an all-of-society transition to design a society for longer lives, but emphasizes that all of us are in this together, and every sector of society needs to consider where there are opportunities to really leapfrog into a world for longer lives. The returns on investment are the flip side of what Dr. Zhao described as the high costs of inaction. Health, of course, the creation of health across longer lives is an asset in terms of everything from a nation's wealth to increased workforce productivity. The economic returns on healthy longevity clearly will be reaped into the oldest ages and create the opportunity for more jobs for young adults. One very instructive note is that the evidence is very clear that with more older people in the workforce, that intergenerational teams turn out to be much more highly innovative than single-generation teams, more productive, and more creative. If we learn how to utilize, enable, and value the goals and capabilities of all of us as we get older, we have the potential for all ages to thrive and nations to thrive as well. So important to recognize that as we talk about healthy longevity, we're talking as much about preparing for a world of the future older people as we are talking about setting the conditions for older people now to have the opportunity to thrive as well. System changes will be essential and across all of government and all of society to accomplish a world for longer lives, good for all ages. It's very clear that the rapid transitions that the Gulf region is going through because of your investments enable the Gulf region to really lead the way in showing how to leapfrog into a society for longer lives, where a young society transforms to a society for all ages. I'm honored to be here with you, and I hope that I've been able to set the stage for productive discussions. Thank you so much.